Hello. Today we're going to go over subtracting integers because there seems to be some misunderstandings that we want to clarify. And on the back side, we're going to try to write some expressions and number sentences, also known as equations, that was from our past homework. So let's get started today. We need to use our addition rule. So what's really important is that you know when we add the same sign integers, we add them and we keep the sign. Then if we're adding different sign integers, we subtract and choose the sign. We need to know that because we're going to change all of our subtraction to addition, and then we can choose between these two rules. So today it says subtracting integers review. Let's remind ourselves that we change the minus signs to plus signs and change the number behind them. Never change the one in front, just the number behind. And we're going to use KCC, known as keep, change, or add a line, change the sign, as a strategy to do this. And this next line is huge. It's very important. Do not change plus signs or the numbers behind plus signs. We only change subtraction and the numbers behind them. In fact, we like our adding so much, I'm going to have you put a big heart around it. We're trying to keep our plus signs. In fact, we want everything to be adding because we now have two rules that are going to help us. So the directions for this say rewrite the expressions and then evaluate them. And the word evaluate means to find the value. And I know that was missing on some of my worksheets. So let's get started. I'm going to start the first one using KCC, which means keep the first number, change the minus to a plus, and change the number behind it to its opposite, which is 9. Now we're working with expressions, so we want the answer to be down underneath. We don't want to write an equal, that would make it an equation. We want to write the answer below it. However, if you feel like you need to show some work, you can show it to the side. I see that these two numbers are different signs. So that means I'm going to subtract and choose the sign. So I'm going to take my 9, which is furthest from 0, minus my 4, which is closest to 0, and I'm going to get 5. So I know my answer is some kind of 5. As I look at this, the 9 is the one that has the greatest absolute value. If I think about chips, I would have 4 red or pink chips and 9 yellow chips. So I'm going to have leftover positive. So the answer is positive 5. So this is our final answer, and I like to box it or circle it. This next one, I'm going to use a strategy called add a line, change the sign. So when I see a minus, I'm going to add a line, and I'm going to change the sign. Now, the disadvantage of using this is it's a little bit messy. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it so it's really clear that I now have a plus sign and that 16 is negative. This strategy I don't really like to use when there's only two numbers, but it comes in handy when there's a lot more numbers. You can see that these two are different signs, so I'm going to use this rule again. I'm going to subtract and choose the sign. So again, if I want to show some work, I want to do it off to the side. 16 is furthest from 0, highest absolute value, more chips, however you want to look at it. And I'm going to take away 5. I'd be able to make 5 0 pairs if I use the chips or the counters. So the answer is 11. Now I need to figure out if I have more positive value left over or more negative value. And I can see that I have more negative value, so this answer is negative. So I'm going to pause it. I want you to try number 3 on your own and then restart the video. Thank you. Okay, we use keep, change to get negative 10 plus negative 7. And we add them because they're both same sign integers, and the answer is negative 17. Let's move on now to the multiple integers. So in the first example, we have negative 3 plus 9 minus 8. We do not change numbers in front We do not change plus signs. We do not change the number behind it. The first time we're going to see a change is at minus. And that's where I'm going to add a line and change the sign. So I'm going to add a line to minus to make it a plus, and I'm going to change the sign. So remember, we love our plus sign. So I'm going to rewrite this so it's easier to read. -3 plus 9, nothing changed. This is a keep, keep, keep. This is a change and a change. So this becomes this problem. Now, when you do this, you can choose to do 2 at a time, or you can gather up your negatives. You have choices. I'm going to go ahead and just do 2 at a time. These two become, they're different signs, so I subtract, and I'm going to get 6. I'm going to drop down what I didn't use. I didn't use the plus, and I didn't use the -8. And I'm going to start the process again. I'm going to add these two numbers. They're different signs, so I subtract. 8 minus 6 is 2, and there's more negative value, so it's -2. Would you please try now rewriting number 5 on your own? Excuse me, stop the video and check when you're done rewriting it. Do not go on after you rewrite it. All right, if we look at this, we had to change the minus here. This became its opposite. We had to change the minus here. The number behind it became its opposite. But this stayed, which meant this number stayed. Remember, we love our plus signs. We're trying to make everything into addition. Addition, addition, and addition. Now we can move the numbers around. We can do them 2 at a time, whatever you prefer. I'm going to go ahead and try to be consistent. For those of you who are a little bit confused, I'm just going to take them 2 at a time. Different signs. I'm going to subtract 7, take away 4, and I'm going to get -3 because this is this number has the largest absolute value. I'm going to drop down what I didn't use. These are the numbers that didn't get used the first time, and now I start all over. I'm going to add these two numbers. They're same sign, so I'm going to add them, and I'm going to get 5. However, I keep the sign. They're both negative. So now I'm going to drop down what I didn't use, which was the plus and the 6, and now I'm finally down to 2 numbers. They're different signs, so I'm going to subtract, and if I look at it, the 6 has more value. It's positive, so my answer is +1. Would you please try the last problem on your own and then check back to see what the answer is? This is what your expression should be. If you don't like all of this, it is cumbersome, you can just choose to add a line and change the sign, add a line and change the sign, if that makes it easier for you. But this is what you should have. Now evaluate it. All right, our final step would be +2, and you may have chosen a different way to do this, but hopefully we arrived at the same answer. What I really want is I want to be able to see all of your work. So for instance, if I thought this was a +5, I'd realize that was just a calculation error, and I'd be able to fix it really easily. So showing your work is also very important. Let's go to the next page, please. The back side of this paper says writing expressions and number sentences, which are equations, from word problems. And this was page 9 and 10 in our new packet. Many students struggled with this or, quite frankly, didn't do this. So this is your opportunity to learn this again. Expressions have no equal signs, and we write the answer below the expression, below it. Number sentences and equations must have an equal sign, and we must answer the answer after the equal sign. That's where we write the answer. So this first problem, I'm just going to read and highlight through for the sake of time. The temperature at midnight was 68 degrees Fahrenheit. By 8 o'clock, the temperature fell 7 degrees, and they want us to write a subtraction expression and an addition expression to model it, and they want us to evaluate the expression. So let's start first of all by discussing why did I not circle or highlight 8 o'clock? And that's because that's a number, but it doesn't have anything to do with what they're asking us to find. They're talking about temperature. So it looks like we start with 68 degrees, and I'm going to use the addition expression because I think it might be a little bit easier. So we started at midnight at 68 degrees, and then the temperature fell 7 degrees. So I need addition because it's an addition expression, yet I need to figure out how I'm going to express fell 7 degrees. So that would be a negative 7. For the subtraction expression, I'm going to start the same way. However, I'm required to put subtraction in. So if I think about it, if it fell 7 degrees, that would be the same thing as taking away 7 degrees. So both of these expressions have the same meaning in math. Both would move us down the number line. Subtracting 7 and adding negative 7 would move us down the number line. And final answer for both of them would be the same. It'd be 61 degrees. So let's look at the next problem, number 2. A submarine is 200 feet below sea level. It descends 125 feet. They want us to write a number sentence, which means it must have an equal, and they want us to write one using addition and another using subtraction. We're going to start by looking to see if there's any clue words that go with that 200, and sure enough there is. Below sea level would imply negative 200. This is requesting addition, and so I'm going to look at the next number, 125 feet, but there's also another clue word, descend, which means to go down, and so that's going to make that a negative 125. Since these are same sign numbers, I'm going to add them and keep the sign. Now they want me to use the same information but write a subtraction number sentence. Well, it starts the same. It's still 200 below sea level, but this time I'm going to write my 125 as minus 125. Now this one's not quite as clear, but it does indeed equal negative 325. And you can probably see that this one is perhaps more clear, and that's one of the main reasons we change subtraction to addition, is it makes it easier for our brain to recognize that these two are going to add and keep the sign the same. Would you please read number 3 on your own, and please then write a number sentence or just set it up, and then we'll answer it together afterwards. So if you started this using negative 250, you're correct because of the clue word O. And when she makes a payment, she's adding that, a positive amount onto that. Since it's a number sentence now, we have to have an equal. They didn't say whether we had to write subtraction or addition, so we're just following the clue words. And since they're different signs, that means I'm going to have to subtract. And there's more negative value, so this is going to be negative 190. Now, this makes sense because it says state how much she owes, and owing money would be in the negative numbers. So I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching.